Hi, today we will learn about one of the curriculum issue, one of the strategic learn that will be brain-based learning. As we know, the role of new technologies in professional teacher learning is an area that is as yet scarcely explored despite of huge expansions of these technologies in schools and the education system in general over the past decade. Teachers in all over the world now work routinely with electronic media in carrying out the range of professional duties, both managerial and pedagogic. Our background: since the 1990s, there has been explosive growth in information about the neurophysiology of learning. Scientific developments bring changes to the learning approaches. Findings in the field of medicines have provided acknowledgments of the human brain and a better understanding on how humans learn. This has caused a new learning approach to arise. Brain-based learning is a student-centered approach which is presented to ensure that the learning of the individual is more effective and lasting. As a learning approach, brain-based learning is based on the structure and functions of the human brain. Now, since we know both teachers and students previously used their class and try to learn and explain, they had to use stories, complicated subjects, and metaphors in order to associate information and apprehensions. Kane and Kane, 1995. The different than traditional methods. Brain-based learning emphasizes meaningful learning instead of memorizing. In other words, the brain does not easily learn things that are not logical or meaningful, and that structuring, constructing is important. There is a resistance against learning decomposed information because the natural tendency in the brain is the integration of information. Because learning always depends on wide meanings and purposes. Teachers need to help students see the meaning of new information so we can set aside when we learn and delivering the lesson to the students, we have to set aside a threatening environment. Why is this considered as an issue in the curriculum? First, the implication for teaching students a novel the world is now an online environment. Since, due to the pandemic COVID-19, there is an empty space of lost breathing connection between students and teachers. Students and teachers cannot meet in the classrooms physically. And the third, renewing teachers' objectives by protecting high struggle and low level of stress and allowing learners to organize their steps. Jensen, 1994. The theoretical foundation taken from two of theories that will be the first, Gardner's multiple intelligence. People are not born with all of the intelligence they will ever have. Now, the discussions of anatomy and physiology, current brain research is described, particularly focused on its implication for teaching students in an online environment. So Gardner introduced 8 different types of intelligences consisting of logical mathematical, linguistic, musical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, naturalist, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. As we know, the theory of multiple intelligence was first proposed by Howard Gardner in his book 1983 titled Frames of Mind, where it broadens the definitions of intelligence and outlines several distinct types of intellectual competency. Gardner developed a series of eight inclusion criteria while evaluating each candidate intelligence that was based on a variety of scientific disciplines. He writes that we may all have this intelligence, but our profile of this intelligence may differ individually based on genetic or experience. Gardner defines intelligence as a biopsychological potential to process information that can be activated in a cultural setting to solve problems or create products that are of the value in a culture. So, before we continue to Kovalik's, what is the multi-intelligences theory? Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences proposes that people are not born with all the intelligence they will ever have. This theory challenges the traditional notion that there is one single type of intelligence, sometimes known as G for general intelligence, that only focuses on cognitive abilities. Gardner notes that the linguistic and logical mathematical modalities are most high value in school and society. But Gardner also suggests that there may other candidate intelligence, such as spiritual intelligence, existential intelligence, and moral intelligence, but does not believe this meet his original inclusion criteria. Now, we became to Kovalik's. Kovalik's integrated thematic instructions, a model for implementing a brain-compatible learning environment for students and teachers using a year-long team to organize curriculum content and skill. The ITI, Integrated Thematic Instruction, is a model for implementing a brain-compatible learning. So, Kovacs identifies six mismemes or mistaken ideas that have hindered educational reform and proposes seven new memes or foundational promises for education reform that are consistent with brain research and children's developmental characteristics. Kovacs also identified there are eight brain-compatible implementation elements to create an environment that will enhance children performance and provide the basis for successful learning experience. There are three principles of the ITI model that brain research must become the basis for decision to improve education, that teaching is an art and science that must implement brain research in the classroom. That curriculum development must occur at the classroom level based on the classroom teacher's understanding of the learners and community. The principles applied to the class in order for brain-based learning to be understood. Number one, learning engages the entire psychology. The second, the search for meaning is innate. The search of meaning occurs through parent patterning. Emotions are critical to patterning. The brain processes part and whole simultaneously. Learning involves both focused attention and peripheral perception. Learning always involves concise and unconcise process. Each brain is unique. So these all principles has to be understood and applied to the class in order for brain-based learning to be understood and applied. The recommendation is recommendations founded on brain-based research including specific activities such as cross-lateral, movement pattern, and detailed online activities that can be incorporated into an online learning environment or a distance learning class, and even a face-to-face classroom. Like we did, the whole world is now closed their classroom because of the pandemic COVID-19. So, this recommendation will help, will give movement patterns and detail online activities then can be incorporated into an online learning. The second recommendation is comprehensive recommendation and guidelines for online learning design have been provided as suggestion for making maximum use of the brain-based principle. Here is our references. There are three of references. The main one that basically bring our understanding about what brain-based learning is about. Now, thank you for hearing and listening for our presentation here. And may we know that even though that we run in online classroom, we still have to understand one that brain just can only maximize, can understand, can cooperate with what we deliver to our student in online room if we put the things that there will be have or fun during the online. So we can set away stressing and other burden that not be appropriate during our COVID-19 pandemic classroom here. Thank you again and may God bless us.